Okay, I may be one of the only 20 fans of the show The Heroic Quest of the Valiant Prince of Ivandoe, or Prince of Ivandoe for short, as it premiered on Cartoon Network in 2023 for us in America, but has been up and running in countries like Denmark, Finland, and Sweden since 2017. The show was mainly about a young, eccentric buck who had a view of the world grander than himself, that was almost laughable to others, but didn't stop him from exploring and voyaging through the Five Kingdoms, a magical mythical realm, as his main goal was to find the magical golden feather of the Eagle King. His father, the mighty stag, assigned him this quest, and throughout his journey, he encounters strange and unique shenanigans that further test his determination. Along the way, he meets peculiar creatures. Alongside him is his squire, being a small bird named Bert. And while we're on the topic, let's talk about a few more characters of the show that really made the show what it was. So first we have Jezebel, who is a cunning, quick-witted bandit that acts as Ivandoe's love interest, where she genuinely cares for Ivandoe, but will often tease him, calling him Princey, just to off-put that deeper emotion she has for him. She is calculative and very competent, everything Ivandoe isn't, and is shown to be much more of an imposing threat than Ivandoe when she's with him. Then we have his rival and nemesis, Prince Swan, who reigns over the Swan land. He's the Swan Prince, hence the title of his name, and he believes he's better than Ivandoe in every single way, believing that he's the better prince amongst the two. And he's always, butting heads with Ivandoe every chance he gets, and yeah, he's just a typical hater for real. Then we have Cupcake the Poodle, who is a pink poodle and a master of all things combat, to where he possesses a high level of martial arts despite his cute exterior, and to make up for his appearance, he tends to talk in a manly and deep voice. And some of his moments are pretty hilarious in the show.
Call me Cupcake, Shadow Warrior of the Forbidden Jungle.
Then we have the mighty stag, who is the king of the Stag Kingdom and the father of Ivandoe, who I briefly mentioned. And unlike his son, he is an intimidating and imposing figure, and who just can't stand his son's annoying tendencies and gimmicks. And he tends to, give his son high, dangerous stakes quests in order to get him off his back, and just for him to prove himself to be a worthy son of, mighty stag. He's kind of a jerk, and he's kind of somebody that I just don't like because of the fact that he puts his son through so much turmoil. And yeah, he's just not a good person at all. And then we have his mom, Queen Christy. Unlike his father, or unlike her husband, she is a lot more genuine and sincere in her love for Ivandoe, where she just surrounds him with all the love and support he needs to continue on his quest. She's just a typical mother figure who just loves and just wants the best for Ivandoe. And yeah, I just really appreciate that, because I just love moms. I love my own, so I can never get enough of a good mom. Then we have the main antagonist of the show, the Eagle King, where he possesses the golden feather that sets Ivandoe off on his journey. Little is really known about him, but he rules over the Eagle Kingdom, and like any other villain, he's angry, short-tempered, and he uses, this golden feather to do malicious and evil things. So that's our main cast of characters for the most part. They each have their own personality and character that really makes up the color of the show. Let's talk about the design of the show and how the show actually came to be, and what, things, real world factors inspired the show. The show was mostly inspired by a lot of Scandinavian culture and nature, in both tone and humor. You can obviously see the inspiration in both its look and overall art direction, where with every scene resembling Scandinavia in greenery and overall environment. Now it's time to talk about the background of the show and the geniuses behind this creation. In 2017, both directors Christian Boeing Anderson and Eva Lee Wahlberg, who were both alumni of the animation workshop and veterans that worked on the show The Amazing World of Gumball, both shared one goal in mind, which was to change the perception people had of European cartoons and stories. As both being Danish, they grew up on different mediums of kids' books, shows and films that were dissimilar from the US and UK, having its own blueprint of what entertainment was and looked like. as their show was scheduled to start production in Copenhagen's based studio, Sun Creature, and in being asked by Cartoon Network what they can bring to the table, their response was, "We had a different point of view on the way European stories were told. The show's creation, like all other processes, were long, but integral, where each idea complemented each other, which furthered, the development into the show we know now. Believing that each moment in time brainstorming and formulating concepts was far from being a waste of time. As Boeing Anderson states, it was a very much an organic process where one idea led to another idea and it really developed." Now let's dive into the art direction of the show and how it came to be. The show's art style and animation is very inviting and appealing to kids who are used to the bright and clean look shows on the network adapted. The animation of the show was very experimental and unique, as 2D characters were paired with a background of miniature, self, and handmade, material from natural materials like twigs and herbs that gave it a natural fairy tale aesthetic. As stated by Boeing Anderson, it just gives it a very unique feeling. It feels more fairy tale-ish. It also utilized flash animation a lot, with its form of movement being puppetized with hand-drawn animation, according to Wahlberg. This technique was developed and founded during their involvement in the Amazing World of Gumball. The Prince of Ivandoe was mostly received well by viewers, believing the show to be decent. The show was able to do what it always sought out to, being a kids show that had its episodes of adventure, comedy, and shenanigans that commonly appeals to younger kids. The show did pretty well for itself, even being nominated for the British Academy of Film and Television Arts Awards in 2018. The show ended on its own terms, with the creators achieving their goal of concluding its planned out broadcast in 2026, closing out production in 2024. The show went from being a short form special to a full-length series. This was an impressive feat, as shows wouldn't even last in its special format, but Prince Ivandoe achieved that and more. I personally really enjoyed the show for what it was and what it could have been, but because it was so hidden and late in its broadcasting to the US, it never really stood with fans the way it should have. Given better advertising and earlier scheduled time, the show could have gone on to being a hit show for the network. State of Cartoon Network in 2017 was pretty fitting for the show, as it was the perfect time for the network to start experimenting with new, out-of-the-box shows like Steven Universe, Teen Titans Go, and OKKO. I don't know about Teen Titans Go, and OKKO. The show was initially released at the right time outside the US, but unfortunately the state Cartoon Network was in at the time with the show's release late, who knows. So I feel like Ivandoe would have fit very well into that catalog, but yeah, who knows. Maybe it was the best decision for them to, being less than desirable for viewers, just wasn't the best fit, maybe, who knows. It was a good thing for the show to have been released in the US years later, because maybe that would have worked in their favor. Being that we still had shows like Craig of the Creek coming out, and we still had Mau Mau. The rating of the show is a pretty interesting topic for discussion, as it wasn't really, there was something the show was doing right in the beginning, but maybe during the later stages, people just weren't sticking with the show. Maybe they just couldn't take the show's themes anymore, because like I said, it was a very childish show, so people may have lost interest later on as they continued through the series. Consistent with the first season, it did pretty well with the 6.7, but then as the season progressed, it would get lower and lower, with its lowest ever being 5.0 with its later episodes. But it did do well in the middle of season 2, having a rate of 7.0. So with the Amazing World of Gumball, I feel like Amazing World of Gumball did well because they took a chance and they took a risk at telling darker humor jokes, and I guess that's what kept the older fan base around, or the older demographic of kids around. Whereas with this show, it just solely appealed to one demographic, and that was for young kids, and people just didn't really resonate with the show's theme. And I can completely understand it. All shows aren't for everybody, and unfortunately this show wasn't for everybody. Yeah, man, so those were just my thoughts on the show The Prince of Ivandoe. I want to hear what you guys thought about this video and what you guys thought about the show. Did you guys ever watch the show? Did you know of its existence? Did you like it? Did you not like it? I want to hear you guys' thoughts in the comment section down below. And if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I just want to say thank you guys for the support. You guys are awesome. And remember, God first. I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.